Hey everybody, welcome to Canning with Tony the T-Rex. So, got a request from a family member that said, hey, I've got a pressure cooker and I want to know how to can Dad's pizza sauce. So, I said, don't think I'm going to get out to where you live anytime soon, so I'll tell you what, I'll make a video. So, we're going to take you through the steps. It's so simple that canning is just something not to be afraid of. So most people are afraid of pressure cookers, and when it comes to using a pressure cooker, technology has changed everything. So let me take you through the steps, and I've got everything prepared, and I'm going to teach you all about canning 101. So what you want to do, if I can figure out how to turn this thing around, and Tony the T-Rex, see the T-Rex? Yep. So let's figure this out. I'm not really savvy on how to use this. If I can flip the screen around. Not working real well. Let's see. I'll be right back. Hey, Tony the T-Rex back with you. Had to take that quick commercial break. So, let me show you why you want to do your own pizza sauce. And people say, well, why do I want to do pizza sauce? Well, pretty simple. The quality and the cost effectiveness. Time for another commercial break. Be right back. Yep, there we go. Okay, what you see here is not a stock pot. That is a pressure cooker. It is a very large pressure cooker. Don't ask me how many quarts, I have no idea. But you see, I've had this thing for about 18, 19 years, maybe longer. And you can see the edges right here where your lid actually locks on. This is a plate. If you look in the bottom of the pressure cooker, I've used it for actually cooking food. It's an aluminum pressure cooker. And this is the plate that goes in the bottom that protects your lids. So, or the glass bottles, the jars. So what you want to do is you take a canning jar. This happens to be a ball canning jar, 12 ounces, and it will sit inside in the water. You want the water only to go about a quarter of the way up, not much higher than that when you fill it up. So you just put about that much in it. This is the actual lid to the pressure cooker. This is the back side. And what you see is we have the gasket right here, the rubber gasket. This is a brand new gasket that I bought. Went to one of my local hardware stores, that not a big box, True Value, if you want me to tell you where you can get it. And I bought a new gasket because this gasket right here is about 18 years old. And what happens over the years, and as you use it, it tends to get a little brittle and won't seal. This is the pressure knob. If you look at the box of the new one that I bought, it's the automatic air vent and overpressure plug. So actually two of those came inside. That is the piece that is right here on my pressure cooker. So pretty simple. You flip the lid over without damaging my glass stovetop. And you see your pressure right here, your pressure regulator. That actually pops up as your steam builds. This is the plug that I replaced right here. That's the brand new one. So I've already used it to make my sweet jalapenos. And you have your pressure gauge. And you have your vent cover right here. So how this goes on, once you get all your stuff in, is you have to line it up where it sits fitted. And then it just twists. Twist it. And then you have the pressure cover, which sits right on like that. It tends to make a little bit of noise as the pressure is building, but that's telling you it's doing its thing. So what we're going to do today, we're going to actually do pizza sauce. Because how often have you gone to someone's house and said, oh my gosh, that is the best pizza ever, where did you get it? Well, you've watched them make it, unless you showed up late like a lot of people do. And all they do is they show up just to eat pizza and say, have a glass of wine or whatever. And then they're on their way. Well, they don't know what really goes into it. Well, when you make a batch of pizza sauce, generally I make one that's about 4 times that amount, and I can it. I put it in my jars, I put them in the pressure cooker, they seal, and I put them up in the pantry in a cool area of the home, and they're ready for me whenever I want to make pizza. Now the jars are reusable. So if you look, these are 12-ounce jars. They come in half pint for jelly or jams. They come in pint. They come in the 12-ounce. They come in quart jars. Suggesting you only use canning jars specifically. They are heat tempered for the pressure and for the heat of the water, the boiling water that they're going to be placed in. Over here you have what are called the bands, which are these. That's a band. These are reusable. So don't throw these away when you open one up. And these are the lids. These are not reusable. These are a one-time use. They have like a rubber gasket built into them. It's almost painted on. And that is what actually seals the food inside the jar. So those are not reusable. The other thing you have when you look at the jars is a lot of your big box retailers, such as, well, I don't want to say the name, but a good people watching store to go to where you can see all sorts of things, is this lid right here. It's a plastic lid. You buy them in a box of 6. So once you open your jar and you don't use all of it, that lid can go right on there and seal it and put it right in the fridge. So it goes on, and then you have a sealed jar. And don't reuse the bands in the lids in terms of storing them in the refrigerator, because what's going to happen is on the actual lids themselves, which these are the lids, they will develop mold on them if you leave them on there, and you get food residue on them. So you don't really want to reuse those. Best bet is get these plastic lids, and you get 6, like I said, you get 6 in a box. So are you ever going to have 6 jars open? Well, you are if you're going to can jams and jellies and pasta sauce, pizza sauce, whatever you decide to do. So my suggestion, invest in the plastic lids. That way you always have them. They're reusable. You can wash them. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what do I need besides a pressure cooker to actually make my own pizza sauce? Well, pretty simple. They make a tool set that you can buy. It's about $12 at your people watching cheaper store. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You might know who I'm talking about. They make canning tools. This is actually a jar lifter. So when the jar is hot in the boiling water, after you release the pressure, and I'll show you that, you use that to lift your jars out. Okay? Then you want to use plastic utensils. This is actually part of the kit. It's got a little hook that sits on the side of the bowl. So when you set it in there, it doesn't fall all the way in. And you don't want to use stainless steel or metal when you're canning, because you don't want any reaction with the acidity in the foods that you're canning, regardless of what you're canning. Always use plastic or rubber. It's the best way to go. You see here I have real lemon, which is lemon juice. And the optional part to that is citric acid. This is citric acid. So that is going to do the same thing as lemon. If you're worried about your food tasting like lemon when you can it, this is going to really just give you a little bit of a safe, oh, it's not going to taste like lemon because I'm using citric acid. So you can use either one. For each jar, each 12-ounce jar, you would use about a capful of lemon juice if you chose to go that route. If you're going to do the 12-ounce jar with the citric acid, which is this one right here, sold at pretty much every grocery store and major outlet, such as that one. So it tells you on there what to use. They also make cookbooks that are specifically dedicated to canning. You can also go on certain websites that, without promoting them, one that's very popular with people, and people actually post on there how to can, whether it's fruits and vegetables from the garden, whatever it is that you want to do. So let me take you a little deeper into what I have already done. So you're looking and you're wondering, okay, well, why does he have all this stuff sitting on his counter? Not that I'm a mess. or I like to leave a mess, but I just made sweet jalapeno slices, otherwise known as cactus candy. Now they sell in the store for about anywhere from $3.99 to $4.99 for a 12-ounce jar, which is one of those. Well, I'm thinking to myself, okay, $4 for a jar. I went to a warehouse store, bought this 1-gallon jar of sliced jalapenos, regular jalapenos, already pickled, and I paid $5 for the jar. Then all I needed was a little sugar, well, a lot of sugar, and white vinegar, 5% distilled white vinegar. And then it comes out, you add one of these to it. Follow the directions on this pack of the bread and butter pickle mix, and all you do is it is flipping it over. If we look at it, it tells you 9 to 11 pounds of cucumbers. Well, that's if you're doing bread and butter pickles, but in this case I was doing sweet jalapenos. So 6.5 cups of distilled vinegar, 5% acidity, and 7 cups of sugar. Put that in a non-aluminum pan. Now it's okay to use an aluminum enamel covered pan because you're cooking with enamel coating and not aluminum itself, because if you use aluminum it'll give a tinny taste and throw off the actual taste of the product that you're making. Oh, time out. Okay, we're back. So as you can see, my sweet jalapenos, or cactus candy as I like to call them, I ended up out of 2 1-gallon jars and a cost of about $12. I ended up making 20 jars. Well, 19 and a half. If you see this one right here, that was just the remainder of what I had left. So out of those, you figure at, let's say, an average of $4 a jar, that's $72. That cost me less than $12 to make. So there's quite a bit there, the money that I've saved for something that I just absolutely love. So the sweet jalapenos, took you through the steps, pretty simple and easy to make. Now let's move our way to the pizza sauce. Hang on one second. All right, we're back. So, don't mind the bananas hanging behind you. Here's my pizza sauce. Already made. Nice consistency, good color, and it's going to maintain that color once I can it. So, by using, I'm opting to go with the citric acid this time instead of lemon juice. You can do either one. It's easier preservation-wise, I think, to go with the citric acid. And for those that hear the word lemon and they're like, oh, I don't want my stuff to taste like lemon, well, citric acid is your next best bet. So this right here is what we call a jar funnel. So if you notice, it's just a regular funnel, and it sits right inside the jar. The purpose of that is so you don't get any residue, food residue, on the actual jar itself. Because what's going to happen if you get it on the lip of the lid and you put that lid on there, on the jar, you're going to get a little food debris on there that will cause it not to seal. So I'm going to teach you a little trick on how to keep it from not only filling the jar, but you're going to wipe the jar clean, the edge of the jar, before you place the lid on there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start filling the jars and get our pressure cooker ready, if I can find the right angle here, and get our pressure cooker started. So let's go ahead and get the water start heating on the pressure cooker. So you want, I've got it on the big burner. If you notice, I've got a big burner, a little burner on the stove. So you want to put it on the big burner. I've got it where my lid will screw on here and lock in right here, so it's facing me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my stove on high. If you notice, the front burner, the large burner, is on high. I'm going to take this jar out of here. There's no need to have that in there because we're going to use that. So we're going to go ahead and start filling the jars. Let me clear some of this stuff out of the way and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Let me backtrack for a minute and talk to you about sanitizing your jars and your lids. Okay, so there's a couple ways you can do it. You can fill your sink with boiling water, hot water, place your jars inside the sink and let them soak in the hot water. Pull them out, put them in your dish strainer right there, upside down so all the water runs out. Or you can use your trusty dishwasher. Now, on the dishwasher, some dishwashers will have a sanitized setting on them. If you have a sanitized setting, go ahead and put your dishwasher on sanitize with all your jars in them, and then hit the sanitizer setting. It takes a while to sanitize. So the easier way to do it is just put your dishwasher in rinse mode with all the jars, no soap. Do not put any soap inside your dishwasher. Put all the jars in like you would your normal dishes. Run it on your rinse mode. It's hot water. It'll sanitize all your jars. So, easiest way to do it. Now, let's go ahead and start filling our jars. Pretty simple. You're going to take your ladle, your plastic ladle, no metal, remember, no metal. You're going to take it and you're going to start filling your jar. So that's one ladle, about half full, a little more than half full. And you're going to take the jar to a 1/2 inch below the lip. Okay? So right there, I'm about 1 inch below, which is good. So I'm going to leave it right there. And we'll get back to that in a minute. Now you're wondering what all that chunky stuff is in there? That's actually fresh grated Parmesan that I put inside my pizza sauce. So I'm going to continue. We'll see how many jars we get out of this. And of course, that's my beanie. Pizza is everything. My wife bought that for me. She found it and said, "Oh my gosh, that is so you." And she is absolutely correct. Pizza is everything. So I'm giving you a foolproof way that you can save money and get anything better than what's out there on the market. Your own homemade pizza sauce. Because the sauce really is what makes the pizza. So's the dough. But that'll be another video, but I can't give you the recipe. So as you see, I'm going to get about 4 jars out of this. Kind of hard to do when I'm balancing everything. Normally I would take a spatula and I would scrape out this entire bowl, but this will work right here. So I'm going to put a little more in there. Okay. There. So we got 4 jars out of that. So now, let me teach you the next trick. Hang on for this commercial break. We'll be right back. There you go. How'd you like that commercial? Oh, there wasn't one. You know why? Because I don't have any sponsors. Okay. So, I have my 4 jars. I set them aside. I've got my citric acid. So, what it says on the citric acid is add a 1/4 teaspoon per half pint, or 1/4 teaspoon per pint. Well, I've got 1.5 pints, which is 12 ounces. So we're going to do a little makeshift here and see how much we actually need. A little mathematics, and not that Common Core stuff. So hang on one sec, we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see the citric acid. I actually used 1/4 and 1/2 of a quarter for my 12-ounce jars. So now what you want to do, again, using non-metallic, and without getting it all messy, I'm just going to use the end of a spatula to stir in that citric acid. And I'm going to do it on every single jar that I have. I'm going to punch it down and I'm going to stir it around, making sure that I don't get any on the lip of the jar. And if I do, not a big deal. We can take care of that. If you can hear in the background, my boil in my pressure cooker is, or my water in my pressure cooker is boiling. So that's a good sign. Started it early so it was ready to go. So now we're going to get rid of that. Oop, and I did drip a little bit on the side of it, on this jar right here. So good deal. I can teach you exactly how to clean that off. What you're going to do, which you can't see right now, turn it a little bit. You can see that bit right there on the edge. You're going to take a wet paper towel, just damp it a little bit, and you're going to run around the edge of it and around the lip of the jar, and you're going to clean that off. You're going to make sure you don't have any food residue on that jar. So as we go around, you can see there's no residue. So we've cleaned off that jar, and now we just need to put our lids on. So there's no trick to this. When you put your lids on, you just set them right on. And I did do all 4 jars with a paper towel, just to make sure I didn't have any food residue on them. And then to put the bands on. So when you put your bands on, you don't want to tighten them as hard as they can go, because that's not what's sealing the jar. What's sealing the jar is the lid that I put on, this thin little lid right here. That lid right there is what seals your food. So we're going to put those on there. And then we're going to move them. Oops. Since I only have 4 jars, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place them inside the pressure cooker. So, I'm going to put 1 in, 2, and the 4th one. So I have the stove on high right now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it down just a hair. I'm going to put it on 7 because we really want that steam to build up so it can really pressurize. Kind of hard to do when you're doing it yourself. So let's see if I can get a better way of doing this. See the burner's red hot, and we just need to take and angle this so you can see how the lid goes on. It's not working real well. Okay, you're going to place your lid on as such. And you see it's off center right here, these 2 pieces. Well, these 2 have to line up. So I'm going to make sure it's set. And I'm going to lock in that piece right there. So now the lid is locked on. That's one of the misnomers of the newer pressure cookers, is, oh, I'm worried about it exploding on me. Well, with these twist lock lids, it's not going to explode. So now I've got the pressure valve. I'm going to go ahead and cover that. So the water's heating up. This right here is going to tell you, this little piece right here pops up and down. And it's going to tell you that your pot is actually pressurized. So you can see it rising right now, and now it's popped up. So now it's pressurized. Now the trick to it is let's get the pressure built up on our gauge right here. So you can hear it hissing. That means it's actually escaping a little steam. That's okay, it's not going to hurt it. So let's go ahead and let the pressure build up, and I'll bring you right back to it. All right, we're back. Just took about 2 minutes to get the pressure to build up, and if you can see, we're sitting at about 11 pounds of pressure. I went ahead and turned the stove down to 4, so it maintains the pressure. I want the pressure about 12 pounds. So you're going to let that go for about 10 minutes. You don't even have to go 10 minutes. You just want the pressure built up, and in about 5 minutes it'll be ready to turn off and release the steam. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 5 minutes. We're going to let it go, and we'll be back. Okay, the timer just went off. We're going to clear it. We'll go ahead and turn our stove off. Now we're going to slide the pressure cooker off of the burner. So we took it off the big burner. We ended up going to about 14 pounds of pressure if you look at the gauge. Yeah, dropping down to 13. So we're going to go ahead and do the cheaters method. Away from your cabinets, you're just going to go ahead and pull this off to the left or right. Just don't get your hand in the steam because it will burn you. Nothing worse than a steam burn. So you can see the steam is just blowing out of there. And all you want that to do is you want this little pressure valve just to drop back to normal down inside by itself. Don't force it, and don't try and open the pressure cooker, because that would be an ugly sight and you would not appreciate it when you're laying in the hospital. So once the steam's evacuated, we'll be back. All right, we are back, and you can see the pressure valve has released. It is notched down into its normal position. We're going to go ahead and open the pressure cooker, which you can't see because it's kind of... There we go. That should work. So we're going to turn it back to its normal position. You're going to turn it and just lift the lid off and lift it towards you so the steam doesn't get you. Now, did you just hear that tink tink? That was the sound of the jar actually closing, actually sealing itself, popping. So I'm putting them on a wire rack, elevated to allow air distribution to get the pizza sauce where it starts cooling. And if you can see how I'm grabbing those, you just grab them with your jar lifter. It's easier than trying to use a towel and getting steam all over you. So I pulled those out. You really can't see them from the angle you're at. So let's back it up. And there's the 4 jars that we had put in. So you can see how the condensation and everything got on the lids. Well, we're going to fix that. Alright, would I have gotten to them sooner after I pulled the lid? Usually this right here goes thunk, 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 thunk every time you press it down. Once you seal inside the pressure cooker, as they start to cool down, it pulls that little bump down, telling you that your jar is sealed. So you can just press on the lid, and you can feel whether or not it's sealed. So sometimes it could take a minute, it could take 10 minutes, it could take 15 minutes. But if you look at this lid I just pulled out right here, you can see me depressing it with my finger. And you can see it going up and down. But when you take the jar and you press the lid, you can see the indentation on the lid right here. It's already sealed the jar. There's no give in there. So we're going to leave them up there to cool, and you can see the band has loosened. I can pull this band off, and it doesn't affect the sealing of the jar whatsoever. So the jar is still sealed. It won't unseal until I pop it open. So I'm going to go ahead and put that band back on. So now you just let it cool down, and once whatever you can is cooled down, then you just take it and put it in like your pantry or a cabinet, something that doesn't get a lot of heat. So I wouldn't suggest putting it in a cabinet above the stove, but definitely in a pantry or, you know, a cool place that isn't subjected to extreme heat, such as above the stove. So if you're wondering why it's Tony the T-Rex, well, because dinosaurs existed millions of years ago. And would they have known how to can food, they would probably still be alive because they would have had food to eat. So Tony the T-Rex, Canning 101, that's our first episode. And the next episode may possibly be how to make homemade pizza. But I'm not going to show you the recipe. So you'll have to find one online yourself. All right, Tony the T-Rex. See you later.